Hey YouTube, Kier Twig here, bringing you guys an update to my Gimmick Puppet deck profile for October 2014. I actually been playing around with this deck just because with all the testing I could make with the deck. I've made a couple changes to it since my last update, so I thought I'd bring you guys the deck profile. Once again, the main focus of the deck is to spam out rank 8s as quickly as possible, in particular the number monsters, number 40 and number 15, which are the Gimmick Puppet monsters. So we'll go ahead and get started with the deck profile. I run 3 Gimmick Puppet Dreary Doll. She is the main level 8, I would say, of the deck, just because of how easy she is to special summon. When she's in the graveyard, you can banish another Gimmick Puppet that is in your graveyard to special summon her from the graveyard. You can only use the effect of Dreary Doll once per turn, and you can only use her to Xyz summon into Gimmick Puppet monsters, which is why I prefer to use number 40 and number 15 as my main monsters of the deck. Running 3 of her is pretty vital though, because of just how easy she is to get out. I also run 3 Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll. In a way, this is the Cyber Dragon of the deck. If your opponent controls a monster and all monsters you control are Gimmick Puppet monsters, minimum 1, you can special summon this card from your hand. So you at least have to have a Gimmick Puppet monster to summon this guy. A lot of people get confused when I play them and they're using Gimmick Puppets. They go out and automatically summon Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll, but you have to have another Gimmick Puppet already out on the field, which isn't too difficult. I mean, like I said, it's very easy to get Dreary Doll if she's in your graveyard with another one, and then all it takes is special summoning Magnet Doll from your hand, and you have that rank 8 summon ready to go. I also run 2 Gimmick Puppet Humpty Dumpty. This card, when it's normal or special summon, you can special summon 1 Gimmick Puppet monster from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. I like it basically because it can spam out Gimmick Puppets that are dead in my hand otherwise, like for example, Dreary Doll, or I can even summon it to summon another level 4 Gimmick Puppet and go for a rank 4 Xyz summon. I also run 2 Gimmick Puppet Eggheads. I like Eggheads just because I can use this effect, which is you can only use the effect once per turn. You can discard 1 Gimmick Puppet monster to activate. You can either inflict 800 damage to your opponent, or this card's level becomes 8. So basically, once again, using Dreary Doll as the example, I can discard Dreary Doll to the graveyard, which she belongs there better than in my hand, to inflict 800 damage for that cowboy finisher, but most of the time I go for the level 8 effect, so I can use Egghead for rank 8 Xyz summons. And I also use 2 Gimmick Puppet Scissor Arms. I know you're getting tired of my example of using Dreary Doll, but the effect is when it's normal summon, you can send 1 Gimmick Puppet monster from your deck to the graveyard, which in most times of target is Dreary Doll. Like I said, the deck specifies on getting her in the graveyard and using her special summon effect for a majority of the moves, and Scissor Arms really helps with that ability. Plus, I run 1 Gimmick Puppet Gear Changer. I like this card just because it cannot be special summoned from the deck. Once per turn, you can target 1 Gimmick Puppet monster you control, except this card. This card's level becomes the level of that monster. So I can use, we're going to use a different example this time. Like, let's say I have Magnet Doll on the field, and I normal summon Gear Changer. That way I can adjust Gear Changer to level 8 and an easy rank 8 summon. Vice versa, if I have Scissor Arms on the field and I summon Gear Changer, I can adjust his level to level 4 and go for a rank 4 summon. It's just that versatility I need to make the deck a little more viable. Plus, I also run 1 Gen X Ally Birdman. Birdman's awesome for those situations where you would prefer to synchro summon instead of Xyz summon. Let's say I have Dreary Doll and Magnet Doll in the field. I can return the Magnet Doll to my hand to special summon the Birdman. I can't summon the Magnet Doll again since I don't possess anything but Gimmick Puppet monsters, but using Dreary Doll and Birdman, I can now go for a level 11 synchro, which in this case I would go for Star Eater, which is just the heavy hitter I would need to get over something more powerful that my opponent controls. Plus, I run 1 Dark Arm Dragon. Pretty standard in the deck. Most of the Gimmick Puppets are dark monsters, and you can use Dreary Doll to adjust the level of dark monsters in your graveyard. So even if you draw Dark Arm late game, you can special summon him and not have to worry about the amount of monsters in your graveyard. I also run 2 Machina Cannons. A lot of people go back and forth on whether or not you prefer Cannon or Fortress. I like Cannon pretty much because I rely more on the rank 8 summons in this deck more than the pure beatdown that Machina Fortress possesses. I like Machina's Cannon's ability because it can get puppets, I cannot talk, apologize for that, into the graveyard, which I can use their effects later. He's got a pretty amount of defense for a discard one machine effect, which I really like using the card in the deck. Just another option to get level 8s out on the field. One of the new cards I'm using in the deck is Glow Up Bulb. This just allows for more synchro summons for level 5 synchros using the level 4s, level 9s using the level 8 monsters, plus the top of the deck mill effect really helps. I could hit a Gimmick puppet that I'm like, yes, I wanted that in the grave, perfect. Just those situations, Glow Up Bulb really helps in a lot of different decks. Plus, I also run one Mech Lord Emperor Grinnell. Grinnell and pretty much Y-Solar Grinnell are what I was arguing on the most of what I wanted to run in this deck. And in the end, Grinnell really came through for me, because there are times where you're going to successfully get out a Gimmick puppet and your opponent's either going to torrential or something else that destroys it. And in that response, I have a Grinnell on the field. And that helps with the fact that, okay, early game I destroyed my monster, but now I have a 4,000 beat stick or something close to that. That is it for the monsters. We'll move on to spells. I run 3 Junk Puppet. This is the monster Reborn of the deck. Target 1 Gimmick Puppet monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You can only activate 1 Junk Puppet per turn. What I like about this card is it does not specify a non-Xyz Gimmick Puppet. So let's say I have this card and the rank up card in my hand. We'll get to that in a sec. I can summon the Exceed monster that I already made earlier in the game and then rank it up using the Exceed summon. So I pretty much get a bigger heavy hitter for no cost at all. And speaking of the rank up, I run 2 rank up magic Argent Force. Probably the better rank up magic card for this deck, just because of how easy it is to use it. Once it's in the graveyard, I can get it back into my hand by simply making another Exceed monster. You can only use that effect once per duel, but either way it's still worth it to get at maximum possibly 3 ranked up CXYZ summons in one game, because those guys are the ones that really bring the deck out. C15 and C40 with their awesome effects, destroying monsters and inflicting battle damage, make the deck run wild. Plus, I also run 2 Infernal Reckless Summon. This card just helps to get out different Gimmick Puppet monsters from the deck. Gets out Dreary Doll very easily, swarming the field. Great card to use. Plus, 1 Allure of Darkness just for draw power. And right now I'm tied between using 1 of each, 1 advanced draw and 1 trade-in, just because there are situations when I really want both of them. And I found that running 2 trade-in would be bad at times because the monster would be on the field, and running 2 advanced draw would be bad because sometimes the monster's in my hand. So running 1 of each really helps pick up the consistency of that problem. Plus 1 Foolish Burial, pretty standard, 1 Raigeki, and 2 MST. And then for traps, we run 3 Threatening Roar, pretty much because this deck is a finisher deck where you're going to finish off your opponent with big moves, and you're always going to regret. I really wish I had that one last turn so I could have put them away with that move, and that's where Threatening Roar comes in. Plus 2 Mirror Force. Pretty much you can go between Mirror Force or Dimensional Prison, whichever one you prefer. Probably Dimensional Prison would be the better option at the moment, but Mirror Force can be just as good if you do not have Dimensional Prisons. Plus 1 Bottomless and 1 Torrential Tribute. That is it for the main deck. We'll move on to the extra. I run 2. Number 15, Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder. This card helps against the special summon of monsters because his effect is up to twice per turn, so you can destroy 2 special summon monsters, and if one of them was an Exceed monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent, which is pretty awesome. Plus 2 number 40, Gimmick Puppet of Strings. He's your heavy hitter of the deck, and with his string counters, you can really destroy some unwanted monsters on the field. And then for the Chaos versions, C40, it really speeds up the effect of the number 40 you already used by eliminating the monsters with string counters immediately, and then allowing you to draw an extra card. Along with 1 C15. C15 effect is you can detach 1 XYZ from this card, then target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. If it was a monster, inflict damage to your opponent. So a little better than number 15 just because of the fact that you could destroy anything on the field, and with that damage inflicting effect for any monster. 1 CXYZ Coach Lord Ultimate Trainer. This is probably one of my favorite cards to go into with the rank up. It's got 3,800 attack points. It can't be targeted by card effects, and once per turn you can detach 1 XYZ from this card to draw a card. And if it was a monster, inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent. Having a 3800 attack point monster and the fact that it can't be targeted by card effects really makes it crazy for your opponent to try and get over this thing. The biggest concern is maybe Raigeki or Dark Hole in the game, but either way, they're really surprised when they see me get that thing out. Plus, 1 Gear Gig and X, pretty standard for the machine monsters, 1 Lava Vault Chain, 1 number 101 Arc, pretty standard for the rank 4 monsters. Then for synchros, I run 1 Armades, pretty easy with Glow Bulb and a level 4 you control. Star Eater for the Birdman level 8 plays. Black Rose Dragon, Birdman with level 4s. And 1 Gigantic Castle, so I can use Glow Bulb with the level 8 monsters. So yeah, that's it for the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.